What is the deepest, darkest secret you know that isn't yours? My best friend's daughter was constantly being beaten senseless by her husband, like to the point that on 2 or 3 occasions she faked death. And this price of it would toss her in the back of his truck with a shovel and drive out on country roads. Get out with the shovel and start digging a hole. Then she would jump out of the bed of the truck and jump inside and drive away, leaving him out there to sober up. The beatings were really bad. And the cops didn't really do it about it. They were exasperated with the whole thing but couldn't stop her going back to him every time. She went back to him because she was young and stupid and had a kid with him. Sort of a stay for our son type of deal. One day this pile of it left the bar he owned and was driving drunk home on dirt roads, and he went off the road and killed himself in the rollover. Ruled as an accident even though the brakes appeared to be tampered with. Good riddance. My best friend, who died of cancer recently, said it was really weird, almost like someone knew where he parked his truck, knew that he would be getting drunk in his own bar till 3 or 4 in the morning, then would leave and go home and beat his wife, as if maybe that woman's father would do anything to save her, even if she wasn't strong enough to leave him. And maybe someone crawled underneath that truck at 2:30 AM when all the patrons were gone and this guy wouldn't be inside with a bottle for another hour drinking his fists hard. And maybe those brakes were tampered with so that they'd fail on those curvy dirt roads he always drove too fast on. Maybe something like that could happen. You just can't be sure. But things sure are better with him out of my daughter and grandson's life forever, he told me. When my dad was a kid he put a sausage in his ass and it broke and got lodged in there, so he had to go to the hospital to remove it. My friend once told me after a few drinks that he used to have a sex with his dad when he was 14-17 and his dad wanted him to ask me if I want to join in, but my friend didn't say anything because he knows I will say no and be freaked out. He says he doesn't have a sex with his dad anymore since we went off to college. He said his dad would send him pics saying he misses ducking him. He told me other disturbing details about his relationship with his dad that still haunts my mind, such as his dad would make him dress up in women's clothes, wear makeup, and pretend his son is his wife. He also told me he would play housewife for his dad and cook, clean, and duck his dad. Edit. The father is biologically related to him and the father is a single dad. Edit. He told me in private while we were drinking some booze. We know each other for 9 years, so we are comfortable telling each other pretty much anything. He's like my brother, however. I wasn't expecting him to confess that to me. I was so shocked and there was a very awkward silence. He said he enjoyed it a lot. Yes, he is gay. He told me he is into incest. I asked him a lot of questions, so that is why I know the details. Edit. He doesn't seem to be bothered by it. Edit. This was brought up because we were talking about fetishes. He told me he's into incest and told me this story. About 5 years ago, a girl I worked confided in me that she had been raped by one of our co-workers and he had it on video, and unless she willingly came over to his place every night he was gonna send the video to everyone she knows and her entire family. He would force her to drink an obscene amount of alcohol first, then beat her up a little, then whatever else he wanted. Then make her clean herself with bleach wipes so all his DNA was gone. She told me she couldn't go to the police or anything because he would send the video around if anyone knew. But one day the two of them just happened to be walking down the stairwell at the back of the building because the elevator was out of service, and when she seen him she kicked the back of his foot just as he had been walking down a step and he fell head first down 30-40 concrete steps. The guy is paralyzed from the neck down and had some brain damage. As far as the paramedics that arrived on scene and management at work knows that he fell and she found him that way, and thanks to the lack of security cameras there's no proof. He and her, and now all of you guys are the only ones who know the truth. Edit. Happened to stumble across this today. It's not the story, but apparently recording yourself raping somebody seems to be a thing. A dude I went to high school with was walking home through a park when he got dragged into the woods by a bigger guy. The dude tried to abuse him, and being a kid from the sticks, my friend had a knife with him. He ended up stabbing the man to death and running home, getting his parents' car and moving the body deep into the woods somewhere. His parents noticed he was acting weird, so he broke down and told them everything. They called the police and got everything figured out, so he's got no charges to face beside his own guilt. He's adjusted better now, but he was very disturbed for a long time. There is this guy who slipped through the cracks of the company he works at and literally does nothing but gets paid still. I know a nice religious, super conservative Christian salvationist. She is homophobic because she knows that it is a sin. She married a man 15 years her older, who her church set her up with, and was a virgin on her wedding night. And by virgin I mean she had an abortion in high school after one of my best friends knocked her up. It's not a secret anymore and it certainly wasn't deep or dark. But shortly after my dad died when I was 8, I was sleeping over at my best friend's house. I was upset and crying about missing my dad, so my best friend's mum took me aside and told me that when she was around my age her mum had died. My best friend's grandma was actually her mum's stepmom. It was nice to talk to someone who had lost a parent when they were young, and she made me promise not to tell my friend or her sister until she had a chance to tell them. It made me feel quite special that she had told me this secret and trusted me not to tell my best friend. It wasn't a huge or shameful secret that could ruin lives, but to me it was important to be trusted with this information at 8 years old. I know a person who called me once while hiding from their dad. The person didn't know what to do. Dad was drunk and mad. Basically found out that my friend's dad was abusing my friend. My parents told me that before I was born. They used to hang out with their church priest. Everybody in the church knew each other and hung out with the priest as well on occasion. One day, my parents stopped seeing the priest outside of mass every Sunday and everybody in church caught onto this and demanded to know why. What did he do that turned you against him? Was thrown at my parents a lot by nosy family members. One day I asked them what this priest did that turned them off to him, because every time the priest's name came up with my parents around, they would just shake their heads and look down. Turns out, they used to be best friends with the priest. They bowled, they drank, etc. But apparently, one night the priest was a little too friendly with my parents and stood in front of the rectory door when they were all inside and asked my parents if they wanted an orgy with him and the woman he brought over that night. My parents declined and never went out with him again. And then the rumors started, not by my parents, but by the priest. He was saying some awful shit about them to get the church on his side. Also, my parents say he was pretty upset after they rejected him. To this day I'm only the second person my parents told about this secret. Edit. TLDR. Priest wanted to have a sex with my parents. Girl, I had a crush on Dr. Dog. Edit. She had done this for a long time now, and was actually going to invite me to watch. But she consulted my sister before she asked me, because she didn't want to ruin our friendship if I wasn't into it. My sister advised her not to ask. And that's how I found out about a year after we just stopped talking. She also invited this other guy, who I see every day in the halls. He did take the offer. He's also gay now, I guess, and a furry. I know someone that when they were going through a divorce contemplated killing her children because she could no longer provide them what she considered an acceptable life. She even went so far as to get the gun, walk upstairs to where they slept, but couldn't go through with it. Came to her senses and everyone is fine now. A good friend told me he killed someone as a child. He was brought up in darkest Wales. A cousin of his was raped. His family found the man who did it and put him in a barn. My friend was then brought out to the barn and was handed a shotgun and found out that day what family really means. Edit. Not got a clue why they made my friend do it. To mess with my friend's head maybe? I didn't really want to keep talking about it. And neither did he, so I didn't ask too many questions. One of my friends was on her bike while pregnant. She fell off and killed the kid. Someone I know, until yesterday, thought bidets were purely for sexual pleasure, and has used for such. I know someone who is gay but he is married and has 2 children. Just to get those 2 children, he will soon divorce, but the girl he likes, not loves in his opinion, didn't want children before marriage, so he first had to marry. After the marriage he could get children with her. What was the main thing he wanted from the relationship? The dude is gay, married to a woman, has 2 kids with the woman. Both kids are gay. Back when I was younger, over 18, I was on felony probation and my stepmom died in a car accident. So my dad, Brother and sister decided they are sick of the state they were living in, and my mom's sister said we can stay with her in her huge 10BD/6 bar bed and breakfast in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. Problem was that it's very hard to transfer felony probation to another state, so I left anyways. The only reason I didn't violate was because her husband was a retired cop and talked to my PO, stating I was staying with them and I wouldn't get in trouble. As I stayed with them, I learned that he got ducked by a real estate company and now almost all of his pension was going towards mortgage and insurance on the bed and breakfast, and it was basically just the minimum payments. He wasn't even paying it off. Tried selling it, but because it was in the middle of nowhere, no one wanted it. I also learned that fire happened a lot to houses in Tennessee, especially to almost all wood houses like the bed and breakfast they were staying in. So of course they had fire insurance. One day when they went out of town, the whole house went up in flames. Now they own a few houses and are doing quite well for themselves. One of my old best friend's dad has a whole other family in another city. No one knows, only the family and me. Once they got word of it somehow. His dad owns restaurants and he would be out of town all the time in the other city than ours, and he literally has 3 other kids with a lady and pays for all of their cars, clothes, college, everything. My best friend shat in a Ziploc bag yesterday because her roommate left an unpenetrable mountain in their shared toilet, then left before she woke up, and when she woke up, nature was a Callan. A girl I used to date killed a puppy with the guy she cheated on me with. Her mom was dating his dad and they ended up spending a summer together in their house out in the bush. He was a hunter and had been given a new dog but didn't like it. So they went out in the night and she shot it with his gun for kicks. A few days later I rocked up to this creepy house, without electricity, in the middle of ducking nowhere. She acted really coldly to me. I heard her mom mention the dog was gone and that maybe a leopard had taken him. This is in South Africa. She and Hunter Bro looked at each other and suppressed a snigger. They thought it was funny. That night, after a summer of not seeing her, we'd been together for 18 months, they went off to move the body together. She acted like it was a big deal. She even let me in on their secret. They probably made out behind my back afterward, while I was stuck in that creepy house. Duck that. Duck them. I got the hell out of there. My wife of several years used to have consensual sex with her brother when they were teenagers. She told me one night, and said I could never speak of it again, treat him or her different, or ask any questions. So that's all I know. I know someone in a heterosexual happy marriage that is secretly gay. Throwaway for reasons. My best friend's sister is 15 odd years older than he is. Only it's not his sister. It's his half sister. Same father but different mothers. I know this and he doesn't, and I'm not going to tell him. I've known for years now. I have to. Both involved my brother killing people. When he was about 18 we ran into a family gang. 4 brothers who were known as the roughest, meanest boys in town. It was about 1 AM and everyone was drunk. My older brother, him and myself are there. New in town, we didn't know these boys, and when they saw us and started a verbal assault, I'd like to say we walked away but we didn't, we yelled back. The distance closed. A fight broke out. My brother had put one of them in a chokehold that went a bit too far. The kid's neck had snapped. We ran. We told my father what had happened. The next day my brother and I were on a plane to Australia. Nothing came of it. Nothing in the paper. 3 years later my brother and I are out drinking again. And walking home around 4 AM a bikie was harassing some foreign guy. My brother called him out and told him to duck off. Now my brother and I are no longer skinny drunk teens. We abused steroids regularly and it showed. The bikie didn't back off though and a knife was produced. He squared up with me but my brother came in with a king hit out of nowhere. The guy dropped and was seizing. His arms were stiff and hands going weird. All 3 of us ran. Heard later a bikie was killed in the city that night with a head injury. Again nothing came of it. My brother is fine though and I don't blame him for the deaths. Just don't get in a fight with him, I guess. My old friend banged this chick who was married and her and the husband were trying to get pregnant. They had been trying for months to no avail. My old buddy got her pregnant and has never said anything. They are divorced now but the father still doesn't know. My old friend is no longer my buddy for different reasons. Long time ago, a friend, F, and I, M, ducked. She wanted to stick her finger in my ass. I don't like that, so I didn't let her. Many years later she found a man and married. Today we are all friends and occasionally have drinks and eats together. Every time I see the guy I think this guy likes a finger in his ass. My ex-girlfriend is addicted to bestiality porn. I haven't told anyone, and I know her new boyfriend would flip if he heard. I also know that she's told all her friends some pretty confidential shit about me, so it's a constant struggle to keep this under wraps. My aunt planned on giving my cousin up for adoption. She left the baby there for 3 days but changed her mind and went back for her. Weirdly though, they've never had a good relationship. Edit. Obviously my cousin has no idea, but she's never had a good relationship with her mother. For reasons other than this. Girl is dating this guy. Girl's mom bangs the girl's boyfriend, which is itty enough on its own. But girl's dad films girl's mom banging girl's boyfriend. Everyone knew who everyone else was. If you pull the secret string inside Patrick's secret box, you'll find an embarrassing picture of SpongeBob at the Christmas party. The girl that all the guys drool over is a hermaphrodite. I'm the only one in school who knows. You're all horrible at keeping deep dark secrets. More of a shameful secret: my mom gives over $700 to John Hagee Ministries every month. Who the duck knows where these televangelist types spend donated money? She gives money to Joel Osteen as well, but I'm unsure of the monthly amount, several hundred though. More like an unbelievably stupid secret than a deep dark one. Meanwhile she won't kick in a measly $500 to help me move. At least giving your own kid money, you know exactly how it's being used. My brother's ex-GF has aborted 2 babies in less than 6 months. When he was little, a guy I knew was sleeping over at his cousin's house, or maybe she was sleeping over at his. I don't know. They slept in the same bed and started shoving their fingers up each other's ass and spreading it all over each other. I wanted to tell everyone, but he started crying. A girl in high school had sex with this boy. We were very strong Christians and did the whole true love waits blah blah. She had irregular periods but was afraid she was pregnant. The boy ended up moving out of state because she told the police he raped her. I was young and stupid and didn't know what to do because she was my friend at the time and I didn't even know how to go about making things right. Suffice to say, we're no longer friends, and to that boy, I'm so very sorry. Edited to add, yes, I understand it wasn't right. I would like y'all to understand that this was well over a decade ago. To those who have been itty to me, please note the above that I had no idea what to do. I did not purposefully hide this information. Additionally, when I finally did tell, no one believed me anyway. Lastly, there is no way to make it right because not only do I not know his name, he was a friend of a friend of a friend or something, but I do believe no charge were filed in exchange for him leaving. It sucks. It's not right. I do tend to pride myself on my sense of justice. Please also note the above that I truly do regret not coming forward immediately, but at this time it serves no purpose because I can't turn back time and move him back, which was the only punishment he received. My ex-wife became pregnant with her current boyfriend of 4 years child. She had an abortion, even though she has a son who's 11 and is a great mother. She said she couldn't rationalize making ex her father. Her 11-year-old son has some decent male influences in his life, but the boyfriend isn't one of them. He is, however, a good time. I know this because I was the one who paid for it. My sister is having a 3-year affair on her husband with another married woman. The other woman didn't even know my sister was married until about 6 months ago. She thought she was just the only one sneaking around. My mom married a pedophile. He abused her many times. Going through a divorce now, thank God. She didn't know he was a pedophile at the time of marrying him, but still that it is ducked up man. He admitted he's had sex with children through a text he sent her regarding how ducked up he is and how low he'll stoop to satisfy his sex cravings. I went to their wedding, and even before when they were just dating I knew this guy was a creep. But yeah, what the actual duck? Santa isn't real. A guy I know is a rapist and he doesn't even realize I know. He lost his virginity to an extremely drunk girl who didn't remember it. He said he was equally drunk and it just happened. And everyone believes him. And she had a reputation. She didn't do anything because, well, she figured it was just a drunk hookup. But I know for a fact the guy wasn't drinking that night because I talked to him shortly after he left that party. And he was completely sober. And I've known him long enough to tell when he's been drinking. I stopped talking to the dude. And tipped the girl off, but she didn't really believe me. Not much else to do. But it still bugs the it out of me that this is someone I otherwise considered a good person. Wouldn't be a secret if I told you. A family member was raised to believe that his grandparents on his mother's side were his real parents and grew up not knowing that his real dad, my uncle, was black. His family wanted to keep it a secret from him, but when he found out, he committed suicide. It's something my family doesn't want anyone to know, but my dad told me when he came home drunk one night. It kinda is mine, but here it is. I was raped when I was 6. Turns out my rapist raped me because my dad raped him constantly when he lived here. A high school classmate had sex with the physics teacher to get out of doing work but still get good grades. She was 17. He was mid-30s. Didn't know until about 5 years later. This guy that was a friend of a friend, who wanted to date me, had a dark secret. He complained constantly about fake friends and how people misunderstood him because of one mistake he made in his past. That mistake was raping both of his sisters. Yeah, my friend stopped hanging out with him. I heard from a friend of a friend from college that an attractive girl enjoyed torturing cats when she was little. I know that he is cheating on her and is dead, yet he still spends his days buying expensive hit all day. My mom worked at a dentist office. The dentist there got hepatitis C from a client, yet he still continues to practice even though he risks giving it to a client. My ex-boyfriend's father killed his first wife and made it look like a suicide. No, she didn't jump. A girlfriend of mine told me that she was repeatedly molested by her grandfather when she was a very young child. She blames her middle school and high school promiscuity on it. As far as I know, she's never told her parents that my ex-girlfriend cheated on me. That dude that lives in a bunker on the throwaway question at the top of AskReddit. Confession in question. My ex had a thing for teenage girls in school uniforms. Ducked up thing is that he's a teacher at a Catholic high school. When I was younger, maybe not born, I don't really know the exact time frame, my dad struggled with alcohol pretty badly. My mom stuck with him, helped him through it, along with counseling, AA meetings, etc. My parents have never talked about it, so I don't think my siblings know at all. I only found out because I stumbled upon a contract my parents had signed with each other with a plan for getting through it. And even then it was kinda ambiguous and I didn't know for sure if it really was to help my dad with alcohol. I didn't even learn a little better of the story until I asked my mom about it, which was a solid year or two after I found it. It also was confusing because he still drinks to this day. But as I've learned, my mom doesn't totally believe that staying completely sober is the best option. It also helped explain why my parents never drink liquor, only beer and wine. I had never thought of that as weird until I realized that a lot of my friends' parents drink the hard stuff pretty often. TLDR. My dad was a sort of an alcoholic. Strike through. My ex-roommate at university shagged the pizza delivery guy for free garlic bread. It wasn't even Domino's. Not that I would for Domino's, but if you're gonna do it. My cousin told me he was driving to work early one morning and it was pretty dark. He was going pretty fast around some bendy roads and ended up hitting someone with his passenger side mirror at 40 miles per hour. He didn't stop. Doesn't know what happened to this day.